Hi everyone, I'm Rincey and this is Rincey Reads. I'm coming to you with wet hair, a giant sweatshirt on. It's a very cute sweatshirt, but giant sweatshirt. My niece and sister are downstairs baking cookies and blasting Mariah Carey's All I Want for Christmas Is You. But this is the only free time I have this week to record a video, so we're just gonna roll with it. So enjoy. So today I am here to talk about my 2022 goals. So in 2021, I had a weird reading year, but one of the things I've implemented relatively recently, I think I started doing it in 2020, is I started making quarterly goals, and it's worked out really well because basically I'm a mood reader and things happen in life, and the things that I think I can do in January end up changing because of life and circumstances and things like that. And so I feel like making quarterly goals, one, is really good because I keep checking in to see if the things that I'm prioritizing are still important to me. And then two, I can adjust on the fly and do what it needs to actually be done, or make goals that are actually realistic for the life that I'm leading at that point in time. I'm dog sitting and the dog is right here. So if you hear those noises in the background, we're rolling with it. So in quarter four, my goal was to basically get through all of my older books on my physical TBR. So I started out that quarter with around 34, 35 books or something along those lines. Maybe it was higher than that. But basically my goal was to get through any books that I had on my physical TBR that were from before January 1st, 2021. And so I'm very happy to say that I've basically done that. The one caveat that I had on that TBR video that still holds true is the fact that I had Anna Karenina and Anna K, which is a retelling or reimagining of Anna Karenina. I wasn't sure if I was going to get to those two because I wanted to read Anna K after reading Anna Karenina. I'm currently in the middle of reading Anna Karenina, and I still have high hopes to definitely finish that before the end of the year. I'm hoping to finish it sooner than that, so that way I can read Anna K potentially before the end of the year, but even if I don't, I feel like that goal is a success. So with those two books off of my physical TBR, I've realized that my physical TBR is now at right around 30 books. I think it's actually at 28 or 29 books, which I honestly think is amazing. And I've been sitting here thinking about what I want to do with my reading in the next year, and specifically in the next quarter. And the thing that is calling to me the most is to do a 0 TBR challenge. Now, I'm not going to lecture people on anything in regards to physical TBRs or anything like that. I'm just going to talk about things for me personally, but I'm at my happiest when my physical TBR is on the lower end of the spectrum, because I don't like having to wait a really long time to pick up books that I've purchased or have been sent or anything along those lines. And so for me personally, doing this project of reading the books that are older on my TBR means that all of the books that I have sitting there right now are ones that I've either purchased or received within the last calendar year, and I'm really excited to read them. And so while I'm really excited to read them, why not try to read as many as possible? Now, the idea of reading 30 books approximately in 3 months seems relatively reasonable, but I am a mood reader, so I don't know if it'll actually get to 0, but I feel like it's possible. I generally don't go out shopping very much in the first quarter, and I especially don't really go to bookstores, and especially with COVID and stuff like that, I definitely don't go out very much, comparatively speaking. So I feel like I can actually get to a 0 TBR or really, really close to a 0 TBR. So honestly, that's my only goal. They're kind of little sub goals, I suppose you could say, or little subtasks. One of them is just I'm not putting any more books on hold at the library for at least the next month. I have ebooks on hold, and so I might use those as a way to break up my physical TBR in case I'm getting bored with stuff, or again, I'm a mood reader, so if I force myself to be too constricted, that could backfire on me potentially. So I will use ebooks from the library potentially, or audiobooks potentially from the library. But I'm not going to be going and getting physical books, at least I think, potentially, at least for the next month or two. And then the only other goal that I have really is to attempt, and I'm going to say attempt with the biggest bold font ever, to participate in Ashley from Bookish Realms comic book club. So if you've been watching my channel for the past couple of years, I've been trying to increase the amount of comics and graphic novels that I read, and it's been pretty hit or miss. I would actually say it's not super successful. Like I have read some comics over the past year, but it's definitely not as regularly as I want it to be. And so Ashley from Bookish Realm decided that she's going to start a comics book club. She actually already had like a December book, but I couldn't make the live show for that. And so I ended up not reading the book, but I'm going to try to read the other ones. And so that's sort of where like I'm not going to completely ignore my library thing comes into play, because I'm obviously not going to go out and buy all of these comics, but she actually is making it a point to pick up comics or put comics on the list that are all on Hoopla, or for the most part are on Hoopla. So that way people don't have to go out and buy all of these comics that she's going to be talking about, because obviously that gets expensive. So my library does have Hoopla as a resource, and so I will be utilizing that probably to read the comics, hopefully for Ashley's comic book club. Yeah, I'm going to try to commit to it for the next 3 months, and then hopefully it'll like stick and I'll enjoy it so much that I can keep it going for the rest of the year. But I'm hoping that can be utilized in order to get comics more regularly into my reading life. So those are the only 2 goals I have for the first quarter of the year. The other thing that's kind of like a personal goal sort of idea is that I kind of think I want to do a no-buy year in 2022. Not kind of think. I know I want to do a no-buy year in 2022. And so if you're interested in hearing me talk about my no-buy year, please leave a comment down below and let me know. And I can make like a separate video talking about that situation, because I do feel like that'll be a whole separate long video talking about like how I came to this conclusion and what my rules are in regards to it and things like that. But obviously that does have some impact on my reading goals, because, you know, if one of them is to get to a 0 TBR, obviously doing a no-buy will affect that. So yeah, I did quickly want to mention that as well as a potential video I could do in the future. Let me know. But I do have 2 questions. I guess 3 questions. One is to let me know whether or not you'd be interested in hearing about no-buys, and if you are interested in hearing about my rules for no-buy, whether or not you're interested in hearing like monthly updates on no-buys, because I feel like that's a good way to hold yourself accountable, is to, you know, post about it in some fashion. And so I'm interested in doing potentially monthly updates on how my no-buy is going. And then the third is whether or not you would want monthly like TBR updates. My ideas are to either do them at the end of my monthly wrap-ups, give you like sort of the number and where I'm at. The other one is to also just like go through my physical TBR, since I only have about 30 books, and to just like briefly run through them like I did with my end of year TBR video. So let me know if you're interested in any of those sorts of videos or topics. I would probably make them for January, probably, with the way my life is looking right now. Don't have a lot of time to make videos. So yeah, that's everything that I have for today. Let me know down in the comments below what your 2022 goals are, because I really enjoy hearing about people's reading goals. I feel like people haven't been putting out their reading goals yet as much as they were before. Maybe they're waiting until the new year and things like that to talk about them. But I figured I would just post mine now because I know what they're going to be. So yeah, that's all I have for now, and thanks for watching.